Detroit. I'm Maria and I'm standing next to Richard Romano from the University of Leeds. Thank you for taking this time to participate in this interview. Can you quickly introduce yourself and what your research field is at the university?
Yes, I'm a professor at the University of Leeds, chair in driving simulation. So a lot of our work focuses on testing and developing automated vehicles and looking at how the vehicles should be designed to take into account human factors.
What fascinates you about autonomous driving?
Well, I think that it can really provide a new way forward for transport and provide equity and access for everyone to various transport modes. So it's great, I think, for the future.
So what, if you take a look into this future you're talking about, what can we expect?
Well, I think we were watching a presentation this morning. I think overall things are going to probably change more than we think. One of the presenters was talking about and quoting Bill Gates that we always overpredict the next few years and underpredict the next 10. I think that our options to travel, the cost of traveling is going to completely change because the economics of using automated transport completely change the equations and what we have access to.
Sounds very, very fascinating. You are also presenting a case study about the human factor. Can you share some insights with us?
Yeah, so the project we're working on is called Human Drive, and we're basically designing vehicles to drive more human-like. So you can think about some examples. For automated cars right now, they try to stay in the center lane at all times. If you're overpassing a car and you were driving, you'd probably move over a little bit away from that car, especially if it was like a truck, you'd move away a little more. And these are the types of things that we're capturing for how the automated vehicle should behave. Another example is if you're coming up on, say, there's a box in the road, you'd probably also move over a little bit from that. And if you're driving behind a group of cars and you see them all starting to move over a little bit to the right, you start to expect that there must be something sitting in the road there. And so those are the types of things that we want to make sure that the AVs capture so they communicate better with other vehicles and make people more comfortable.
So will there be more human-like autonomous cars in the future, or?
I think that that's totally necessary. So the concept of cutting corners, being able to move over the center line if there's a problem, all those types of things need to happen. Automated vehicles need to get to that next step, and there's already discussions right now to try to change the laws to allow automated vehicles to bend the rules when necessary, just like we do as humans, because we understand the risk, but if there's a car parked in the road, we're not going to just sit behind it all day.
Yeah. What role will the driver play in the future in these autonomous cars? Is he driving or is he just relaxing like we want him to, like reading books or stuff?
I think that again is a hard thing to predict. We have a lot of people working at our university trying to make those predictions, and they're experts. I'm not going to try to jump in with that, but I think in the long run, we're not going to be driving for the most part, but there are going to be times when we'll choose to drive, and I hope that we'll be allowed to drive. So you can picture times where a car would come to pick you up. You're the only person in the car, but you might choose then to still drive it manually because you're just more comfortable doing that. You have nothing else that you'd rather do. And I can't see why that won't happen in the future.
So we still have the fun of driving, let's say, like we have right now with fast cars and stuff like this. This will be still there.
Exactly. I mean, if you think about when you ride with a friend or drive with a friend, you make those choices based on how you feel. And I think that that's going to continue, and we just then have these other options when we have work to do or vehicles need to be repositioned. Or we need to provide a service where we're not going to allow other people to drive, just like taxi cabs.
And are autonomous cars the better driver, or will they be better than human drivers?
I think right now, autonomous vehicles are not better than human drivers. There's a lot of discussions and arguments about that. One of the big things for human drivers is that we interact very well with each other and we protect each other because of that. So it kind of takes two to end up in a crash for a lot of the crash types, and the other person is reacting and helping out. In the long run, before automated vehicles get heavily deployed, I think that they're going to have to be 3 to 10 times safer than human drivers.
That sounds like a good idea, because we had another interview saying, okay, like 40,000 deaths by car accidents in the US, millions around the globe. This will really help.
Exactly. So that's the goal, and I don't think anybody's going to let these systems out at the level 4, level 5 level until
safe.
It's safe, not just safe, but safer.
Okay. And is this human driver or human factor you're talking about, does it help to get people to trust into self-driving cars? Because right now, we hear a lot about the accidents, or that they just stand there because they can't decide if it's a cat or a rock or something.
Exactly.
So will this human factor really help in the adoption?
Well, I think it's really important, and it's not just how safe the cars are, it's a question of perceived risk. So one of my personal research interests, and we look a lot at pedestrian vehicle interactions, and I want to make sure that people feel very comfortable walking and interacting with automated vehicles, because the last thing we want people to do is think, oh, the automated vehicles aren't very safe, so even though they are super safe, but if they think that they're not, and then they're not going to walk to the park or walk to the restaurant, that's a real problem. So I want to make sure first that we test everything so that we know they are safe, and then we explain to the public what we've tested, how they work, why they're safe. So it's a big educational piece.
Okay. Last question. How do you like the conference so far?
The presentation, so it's halfway through day one. The presentations this morning have been outstanding. So it's been really nice. And yesterday I had a chance to go to M-City at University of Michigan.
You were at the driving day.
Yeah, exactly. So that was very interesting and see some of the latest technology.
But second last question. How was it like being driven in an autonomous car? Like the one that were presented?
I actually personally didn't end up driving yesterday because I've been in other ones around the world, and I thought I'd give other people the chance. There's a little bit of a lineup. But it's really exciting. It takes a while, but then you start to feel comfortable with the system that it's going to perform. You build your expectations on how the system's going to perform.
Okay, thank you very much for this short talk, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.